Live across the country and on multiple platforms. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Political Fixer Live. I'm Shawna Presley Vercher, the Political Fixer, and you can join us right now on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and be a part of this conversation. I'm coming to you live from our new Political Fixer studio, opened for the new year for us to have a nice headquarters, to have all kinds of great conversations and discussions. And you'll start to see this studio more and more as we start to bring you content about the topics that you care about the most. For tonight's Political Fixer Live, we are going to be covering three major topics. Our political buzz story is going to be hot takes on yesterday's inauguration. So, what can we take away? What are my actual thoughts on what is going on? And what do we do moving forward? Our next story is going to be a call to action story. The TikTok ban happened. It came and then it went. Will it happen again? And if so, what can and should we do about it? There's a lot of information to cover there, so we'll definitely want to dive into that one together. And then our positive news fix. We have updates on the Equal Rights Amendment, and we have updates from the field, from the advocacy community. So we actually have no no reason for concern as we go into this evening. Even though we thought this was going to be a tough week, there's a lot of positive news to report. All right, I want to say hi to all of our Fixer family on TikTok, on YouTube, and wherever you're watching across the country. And if you miss this Political Fixer Live, don't worry. Now that things are up and running, we've got new tech, fancy gadgets, and we'll be able to post on YouTube. Just find me at Political Fixer, just like you would on TikTok, and you can get the entire episode. Watch it on double speed, share it with your friends and family, take out different comments and images and make me a meme on your phone. Whatever floats your boat, we'll make sure that content is readily available for you. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of people already talking about their comments and getting in the action. If you are new to Political Fixer Live, let me tell you how it works. We're going to introduce topics of conversation, but we want to hear from you, what questions you have about that topic. And then at the end of the show, we'll be taking audience questions from people across the country about whatever topics you have of conversation with whatever time we have left. I want to say hi to our Political Fixer subscribers, particularly here on TikTok. Hi, Professor Liberty Esquire. So good to see you. We've got some new tech we're trying out, so I want to thank the team, our Chief of Staff, Sarah, our producer, Eddie, and our media coordinator, Mia. They are all working hard to make sure that all of you across different platforms have a great experience with Political Fixer Live. So I'm going to ask the team to go ahead and keep me updated as our Political Fixer family of subscribers joins us. Go ahead and keep that in the private chat so I can shout them out. Let me know about gifts and things because we're looking at multiple screens. We definitely appreciate our gifts and our like milestones. We're just getting started out of the gate. We're already at over 1,000 likes, so it should be a really fun and engaging evening. Okay, let's go ahead and start with our political buzz topic. I was a little bit uncertain on how to cover the events from yesterday. I personally did not watch the inauguration. I spent my time working and just returning calls from people that I had meant to connect with after the new year. So for me, it was a super positive day. I watched some inspirational films. I kept some really great music on in the background, and I just focused on doing the work and connecting with friends. That being said, we can't ignore everything that's going on, even as we protect ourselves about it. So I wanted to think about how to bring this conversation to you, because what I don't want to do is become similar to legacy news outlets where I'm bringing you all of this either slanted or negative coverage and you feel gross after watching. So I wanted to really add something of value. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a quick rundown of my take on how things went in the inauguration events based on the takes and the clips and the reading that I've done. And then I'd like to discuss what my take is overall and how I process the emotion and kind of address some of the stuff I've been seeing from you all online. So let's go ahead and talk about what happened yesterday. Okay. So inauguration happened. It was moved inside, supposedly because of weather. Some people said it was because of low attendance. Didn't matter. It kind of had a unique atmosphere to it that I think kind of made things feel a little bit odd. A lot of dignitaries were there. We're going to cover more about that in just a bit. And then there were some after festivities. And that's where apparently things got a little wild and went sideways. So, as far as the festivities of the inauguration, we're going to cover that and the dignitaries in just a bit. But I want to talk a little bit about these executive orders. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding and misinformation that's happening. I want to bring you up to speed on that. And then we'll talk about my take of the actual events and my takeaway on what signal I received yesterday that is going to impact how I move forward in my advocacy and in my content and in my community building. So I'm hoping this will be useful information for you. So on day one, as promised, a flurry of activity. There were over 50 executive orders that were issued by the incoming president. The orders ranged all over the board. Everything from foreign affairs, withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accord, withdrawing from the World Health Organization, reversing the cap for Medicare and Medicaid seniors on certain prescription drugs that had been implemented during the Biden administration. There was a healthy dose of bashing the trans community. There was a lot of, military hoorah, anti-immigrant border stuff. And of course, who could forget the reason that so many people voted for him, the new topic du jour, which is renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which I will tell you, I thought was a joke until I read it myself on whitehouse.gov. I literally thought there's no way that's real. And then I saw the clip of Hillary Clinton bursting out into this big guffaw of laughter when he said it out loud. So there's a lot of stuff there. And we could spend the entire night trying to parse it. What does it mean? But let's just talk about it from that high level perspective of what to expect. Let me explain that executive orders are not royal decrees. They're basically, they're going to be challenged in court. Some of them need to be funded by Congress. It's essentially, I want you to look at it as a grown-up wish list that a kid would write to Santa Claus. This is what I would like for this administration. I would like to end birthright citizenship. Not me, but the person who wrote them. That was one of the topics, right? It doesn't make it magically so. It just means that there's a stated intention that this is what this administration would like to do, and then they're going to take steps accordingly. They're going to try to seek the funding and the support and the court stamp of approval, whatever is necessary to move that forward. It sends the strong signal that this is who we are and this is what we want to accomplish. Now, we can agree with them or disagree with them. I have a feeling if you're here this evening talking with each other and watching here, I have a feeling how some of you will land. But let's talk about what its impact is, not on the law, because that's going to take months, years to figure out. It's going to change. Different states are going to interpret it differently. Different courts are going to kick it back and forth. Congress is going to debate certain things and kick the can on others, right? We don't have control over all that. And honestly, as jarring as it may have been to see some of it in print on White House letterhead on the website, wasn't really that surprising, if we're being honest, right? It was exactly what we were told would happen, the agenda that we were looking at, right? Here's the thing, though. The shock and awe of so much at once, where you don't know what to get upset about, you don't know how to feel about certain things. You don't know what to worry about. You don't know which issue or topic to focus on first. That is in and of itself an issue for us, just as people with our mental health. It's definitely an issue with the advocacy community, because where do you focus your time, energy, and resources? Do you try to preemptively get ahead of things? Do you wait until something becomes final because you might be wasting time, energy, and resources to worry about a problem that may not exist in 6 months, right? And then also, it's a media problem, because the media has not yet learned how to talk about all of this without it becoming stated as if it's fact, without just picking one little thread and exhausting it with panel discussions and meaningless debates and confusing conversation. And so what it does is it provides a giant tornado worth of distraction. That's what it does. So what do we do with it, and how do we move forward? Well, that was a question that I was asking myself as I was trying to stay focused and positive on the work and on the holiday commemorating Dr. King and on my own mental health and on preparing for this upcoming week, right? I'm trying to focus on all these things, but yet I needed to know what's going on. In my job, I need to remain informed, unfortunately, sometimes. So I was looking at these executive orders and I'm trying to process, how am I supposed to feel about this? Am I supposed to just be a giant ball of rage? Now let's go back to that inauguration ceremony for just a bit. In the audience of the inauguration, there was former President Clinton, there was former President Obama, former Secretary of State and presidential nominee Hillary Clinton, so many, of course, President Biden and Vice President Harris. So, um, you know, all of these people that certain ones of us trust, however you want to put that, to kind of guide us during these times, that are sitting in, and they are audience participants of this inauguration. And I understand that there was like some laughter at some of what he said, some of them dressed in dark, less than festive colors. I understand all of that. But when you couple the visual of former heads of state of our nation sitting there, and then you add that with some images of video clips and photos that came out during the late President Jimmy Carter's funeral of former President Obama, like making some sort of joke and laughing with him. And then you see all these images from the Oval Office of him and President Biden just having a normal conversation, just a couple of guys with Biden laughing and smiling. I'm having trouble wrapping my head around this, and I'll tell you why. We were just told for months and months and months and months that this could be the end of democracy, that this is the end, like as we know it, that everything is going to burn, institutions will fall, he's going to shred the Constitution, etc. And I understand there are social norms, and I understand that there are obligations, but I'm having trouble wrapping my head around how we as normal people are supposed to do all of this heavy lifting and advocacy, while those people with power and means and positions of a leadership and authority, who with one phone call could get done so much even after they're out of office, they're just socializing with him. If you were invited to your best friend's party and they're having a party in their apartment or their house, and you see a guy over there that has been in the news, that's a guest at this party, right? That has committed the alleged things that we've been told that he committed, that some of us know to be true, in no particular order. An insurrection against democracy, 34 felonies, different fraudulent counts involving charities and a so-called university, etc. The situation with E. Jean Carroll and a number of other women and the behavior there. The situation with pressuring, bullying, name calling, what's been done to the most marginalized communities, Black jobs. Let's just leave that out there floating for a second, right? You know that this person has supposedly done all of these things, and you see them at the party. Do you grab a cocktail and head over and just make polite conversation with them? Because I wouldn't. I'd leave. I'd make a scene, I'd call them out, or I would say, listen, I value you as your friend. I am not attending a party if that person is here. I am not going to normalize this behavior and pretend that it's okay. That's just a party. It's just an event. And we're sitting here talking about an inauguration about something that we were told was the start of the end. So what do we do with that? Because logically, as an adult, logically, as someone who's been in politics, I understand there are responsibilities, etc. But let's be real, Michelle Obama did not go. Secretary Clinton has no official need to be in that room. She chose to go. She chose to attend. Right? And so what is our takeaway? Here are the options. I've been thinking about this all day, and I would like to hear your thoughts on this too, right? Okay. So either this was all an act and nothing matters, and no matter who you vote for, they're okay with it. I don't believe that to be true based on the rooms that I've been in and how hard some of these people work. I don't think they were just, play acting for us and putting on a show to try to win an election. They believe what they say, but they don't care. I find that hard to believe, that they just would rather be seen on camera than seen, standing up for us by not attending. I don't think that's true. I think that's an oversimplification. So where I landed is these social norms, these traditions, these customs, these, we have to be the bigger person. When they go low, we go high, right? Like that, it is causing us to co-sign on whatever happens, right? Like it's just causing us to be paralyzed in etiquette. Not us, you and I, right? We're having a free-flowing conversation here. And I like Bruce Wayne's mother saying it's patriarchy and upholding, yes, 1,000% to that. And definitely submit your comments here. I want to hear what your thoughts are on this. But, Marco Rubio was the first person that was approved on this new cabinet. And Senator Marco Rubio, I don't agree with him. I find him to be a little bit feckless, if I'm being honest. But I don't think he's evil. I don't think he's the worst person. That being said, he just got approved as the new in the new cabinet. He was the first cabinet member approved with a vote of 99-1 or 99-0. I don't know if the other person objected or abstained, but it doesn't matter. Every Democrat essentially was like, yeah, sure, whatever you need, here you go. And I don't understand the plan here, guys. Okay, I really, really don't. Because if, again, let's go to a new analogy. I know this guy's a kidnapper. I don't know who he's going to strike next. I'm not talking about the guy in the Oval. I'm just using a new example, fresh example. You know this guy is a kidnapper, right? And you don't know where he's going to strike next. You don't know what he's going to do. But if he says, pass me the duct tape, are you going to be like, well, he's in front of me. I don't think he's going to do anything bad with the duct tape right now. Right? Like, why are we enabling this? That's the first thing. If you really think he's a bad person and he's going to do bad things, why aren't you objecting to every single thing? Also, you're a party. You're a political party. Our whole thing is partisanship right now. We might disagree with it, but we have two parties. One wins and one loses. Do you remember what it was like to win as Democrats? Because if you don't fight, you can't win. I understand. We just heard months of the slogan, when we fight, we win, and we lost. I get it. That happens. That happens in this business. It happens in this world. That is life. We are adults. But if you don't fight, we'll never win. And right now, we're getting tweets and publicity stunts and all this other stuff, like railing against everything he's done, but no action to stop it. Right? So I'm really struggling to think that political leadership at the highest level is going to somehow save us. I think that right now they're so just lost in their own play acting of traditions and politeness and social norms and upholding certain customs and, yes, systems that sometimes oppress us, right? I don't think they're going to rescue us. So what does that mean for all of us? So I believe that right now what we've got to look at, and I'm looking to take your comments and questions here. So Sarah, if you could add them in the comment section, that would be great. So, yes, I think they're out of touch. I think that's part of it. But what do we do about it? Because right now, there are things that are really impacting us that are going to continue to impact us. Let's pretend, for sake of discussion, that this administration, let's say I got it completely wrong, and they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they're going to pass the best laws, and their way of doing things is awesome, and I got it completely wrong. Even so, life is going to happen to us, right? People are going to get sick. People are going to have issues with trying to pay bills. There's going to be more and more climate disasters. We're seeing that. Life is going to happen. And if we can't depend on our government officials on both sides of the aisle to do what we feel needs to be done, to see us and feel like they're responding to us, what do we do? And the short answer is we have to start organizing on our own. And we need to start finding ways to get more strategic about getting engaged in these elections prior to the candidates being set. I'm not saying that everyone needs to be primaried. I'm not saying there are no good people in office. It's not what I'm saying. But right now, we're presented with things in the final round of the game rather than having control over what happens in the earlier rounds, right? So I would like to have control over what's happening in the earlier rounds. How do we practically do that? Well, the first thing is more of us need to be running for office. I'm going to put that a different way. More of you need to be running for office. I am inviting you formally to do so in whatever capacity at whatever level. If for whatever reason that is not your personality, that's not something that you ever see yourself doing, I need you working in paid roles on some of these campaigns, finding friends that you believe would be good candidates for different offices and learning how to help them run their campaigns, right? And we need to also form ways that we can communicate and organize in a faster way, right? Like right now, everything is getting filtered through all of these channels that like legacy media and establishment parties and corporate email lists and all these different things. We're not really communicating with each other quick enough in a genuine way to recognize something's happening, mobilize around that and help each other out, and then figure out a solution and go implement it together. We are depending on people to rescue us. I mean, I keep asking, like, what can we do for people in Los Angeles that have lost everything with the fires? Let's use that very simple but very critical example, right? What can we do? And I'm told, go to the Red Cross, give them money, and they'll make it all better. And nothing against that. I'm sure they do amazing work. Years and years ago, I used to volunteer for the Red Cross. It's not the point. It's that we're saying, hey, we would like to help, and you're not giving us a real job to do. You're treating us like a toddler that wants to help you cook in the kitchen. You're just handing us a pot, an empty pot, and a wooden spoon, and you kids go play over there. Let the real grown-ups do it. The real grown-ups aren't doing it anymore. They're not doing it anymore. And this sportsmanship or camaraderie or upholding the institutional fabric or whatever you want to call it, I will say this is the first time in a long time, and I'm someone who worked proudly under President Barack Obama. I served under him when he was a senator in his presidential campaign for 23 months. You learn a lot about a man in that time period, the ups and the downs, and behind the scenes, I will tell you unquestionably the most integrity, the most intellect, the most thoughtfulness. I mean, I have tremendous respect for President Obama. I just want to say that right here. But disagree with this, firmly disagree with this. Because I will say, everything that happened out of the new administration, the 50 executive orders, rename the Gulf of Mexico, whatever you want, man. Like, I don't care, right? And these executive orders, when they become law, I'm a social justice advocate. I'll organize and I'll respond and I'll do my best to protect my people and others, right? But watching my own show up to his party, his coronation, that was hard to stomach. That was hard to stomach. So, am I being unreasonable? Let me know, right? I want to take some of your comments. CJ Murphy is saying for the next 2 years, We resist, organize, and find good candidates ready to go. Absolutely, CJ. I 100% agree. We need to start finding candidates and coming up with ways that we can train them, support them, vet them, and also just kind of guide them so they're not making all the mistakes that first time candidates always make. I say as someone who has worked on too many campaigns to mention, and then communicate that they're one of ours as we move forward, right? I see people saying, forgive me, your comments are going by so fast. If I don't credit you, that's why. That AOC had it right. She stayed home. She said why she stayed home. I agree with that. Like, to me, I don't care about the social custom. I care about the fact that this person, if he's who we were told he is, if he's who we believe he has shown himself to be, why are we pretending? Why are we play acting with this? TT Brian's Designs asks, where do you see these next 4 years going? Interesting question, Brian. I feel like, first of all, we don't know at all. I think the one constant we have is inconsistency. I think there's going to be a lot of infighting. I think there's going to be a lot of dog catching the car, so to speak, where like you pass all of this legislation and then the impact comes back on the back end. It's really easy to just spout anti-immigrant rhetoric, for example, but when you live in farming communities, when you live in communities that are hospitality industry, when you live in construction communities, so many places that immigrants do amazing and just invaluable work for us, what happens when those jobs aren't filled, when those, really critical positions go unfilled? Because I can tell you that the daughters and sons of the people that are spouting the rhetoric are not going to step in and fill those positions. So I feel like we're going to see the impact of these policies, and we're all going to have to go along. It's like a group project, right? Like, we can all work as hard as we want. We feel like we did what we were supposed to do, but guess what? If you got idiots in your group that are going to break everything, you're all going to fail. So I think from the administration perspective, we wait and see what impact this has. What's going to happen to advocacy in the party? The Democratic Party, I'm not here to badmouth. I think it's really easy to badmouth the party overall, especially when you lose. But I will say we need really quickly for whoever the new leadership is in the party to send a very strong message that we're going to have a plan of who we are and what we offer the public besides we're not them. And, that's going to happen immediately at the top level on down to local county parties. Now let's talk about us. We are going to learn really quickly how to fill in the role that sometimes some of these local parties take for us. Like, what do they normally do? What does a party do? They have a lot of data as to voters and how to reach them. They provide a ready-made infrastructure when you're trying to reach out to different organizations and support. They have different processes and ways you can get on the ballot. I'm not saying start our own party. I definitely think, like, stick with whatever party you're with. But as far as the candidacy and as far as kind of building this parallel machine beside it, the bottom line is a party is going to they've got procedures and rules and voting and internal elections and infighting and all this stuff they've got to deal with. Let them deal with it. We can just move forward. We can just build our stuff and go. We can just pick up a go bag and go work on a problem, right? So Candace Nagel asks, do I think this might be a case of keeping the enemy close? And Candace, I think that's a valid point. This idea of, I've also seen, like, let them, give them the keys to the car and then see if they crash it. I understand that theory, and maybe that's the case, right? First of all, maybe share that with the rest of us. That's what I'll say, right? Like, just expecting this wink, wink, nod, nod, we're going to get it, when most Americans are super busy and barely get informed even that elections are happening. We don't have time for cute context. I think, this idea of sucking up to him to, like, prevent the worst from happening, I mean, maybe. But again, clue us in. Because I feel like, again, voters are being treated like children. And those of us in the advocacy community who worked so hard, who deeply believe that these next 4 years are going to cause a lot of pain and hardship, not necessarily to us, but to the most marginalized, the most vulnerable, right? Like, it's when you say he's bad, but you're sitting there high five and smiling with him, that's hard to rectify, right? So I don't know what the keeping the enemy close, maybe. But again, clue us in. We'd like to know what the plan is. I would pay a lot of money and a lot of time to actually see a plan of what our go forward action is. Okay. Also, so hold on, just showing this comment here. Nita 506, how long do you think Elon will be around? Great question. We've got a bunch of great questions happening. Okay, let's talk about Elon for just a bit before we move. So for those of you just joining us, this is Political Fixer Live. I'm Shawna Presley Vercher, the Political Fixer. We're talking about your top headlines and stories for this week, and we're also taking your questions. So right now we're on our political buzz topic of the inauguration, but don't worry, we're going to pivot soon to something else. But I do think this is an important topic, and we needed to have like a family meeting about it. There was a lot of feelings, at least for me, happening. I was reading a lot of your posts and watching a lot of your videos when I could on different platforms. So interesting situation where there was a salute of sorts from Elon Musk during one of the after inauguration festivities. I didn't watch any of the live coverage, but I did see that clip from a couple of different vantage points from a couple of different broadcasts. And let's just call a spade a spade. They're like, let's not get cute with what it is. I love how the legacy media will just do anything it can to avoid like calling the spade the spade. Anyway, but here's the interesting takeaway, and I have to credit my husband with this take, which is that you had all of these festivities, all of these celebrities that finally agreed to perform. He got his long-awaited party. This is his moment. And what is the trending topic? It's Elon Musk. And that's going to get old really, really quickly, right? Like, I mean, any of you that have ever seen like a popular girls' high school drama, like Mean Girls or whatever, like we know there's a hierarchy and you're not supposed to be, you know, prettier, more popular, or more outgoing than the pretty girl at the head of your clique, right? Like that is just high school politics 101, and that's what they tend to play, right? So I actually think he's going to be, you know, getting the boot sooner rather than later. We'll see what happens. Let's go ahead and take a couple more of your questions. Tia asked, we need progressives at every level of government. So I would hesitate to put a label on it because that's what's kind of boxing us in. I would say there's room to have people that consider themselves progressive, some people that consider themselves liberal but not progressive, people that consider themselves centrist. Like I do think there's room for that conversation as long as everyone's coming there with shared values, you know, no hate speech, no, you know, making sure other people don't have a seat at the table, you know, no bigotry, all of that, right? I think if we come to the table with a shared set of values that we want to accomplish problems, having different perspectives on how to accomplish those problems is healthy. But what we're having right now is a side that's like, hey, we think government is broken. So we're going to break it more and build it from the ground up. I don't agree with that logic. I think that's what we have in office now with MAGA, but you can't fault certain people for being like, yeah, government is broken. I don't feel like it works for me. I feel like they can't do worse. It's a dangerous bet, but I get why people make it. Now we're looking at the Democratic Party, which is like, you know, we're a party for you, we're not him. And they're so caught up in things that I feel like sometimes are not relatable to regular people. And I should say I am a registered Democrat. So they're dealing with their own machinations, right? Just like shareholders of a company, their job is to protect the financial interests of that company over the customers, over everything else, right? That's the board's job. A Democratic Party's job is to win. So they're going to be focused on that. So who does the business of governing? Who does the business of coming up with good ideas and plans and reaching out and organizing? That's where I think all of us come in. And I think the way to do that, yes, we need to build some connective webbing between all of us, but there's already people doing amazing things in so many different communities that have figured out how to solve problems. I'm going to brag on my former home state for just a bit, Texas. You know, there was a period of time in Texas, particularly in the Houston area, that 14 different government agencies came together in Houston and effectively eradicated homelessness for veterans. All right, I'm going to say that again. They eradicated homeless veterans being on the streets. They worked with people that have drug issues. They worked with the joblessness. They dealt with the housing crisis, child care, medical needs, right? Fulfilling government services for people. It was a success story. And yet, do you see that problem being fixed across the country? No, right? Politics got in the way. It wasn't a snazzy enough story to get enough headlines, right? People have come up with solutions on how to solve so many of these problems. And if not, if we all work together on actually solving problems, we could do it. But then we've got to have an organizational structure that forces people to actually implement those plans. It's a lot. It's a lot that I'm saying right now, but I don't see another way. I wish that I could say, red team is the worst, go blue team, vote blue 100% of the time, and everything's magically better. And I just think that I'm realizing that we have so much more work to do than that. And that until we do that work, that's a pretty hollow slogan, for lack of a better phrase. Okay. So, I want to take this other question here. Sorry, I'm learning this new tech, everyone. So I want to say that this is Cindy Robolizzo. It's hard the way, Sarah, if you could clarify this username. Texas is so gerrymandered and corrupt. Do you think we'll ever be able to reverse course? Yeah, absolutely. I think elections can be won anywhere. I think this is another myth that we tell each other and that the media goes along with and political parties go along with, which is that we need to keep fighting and bickering for these same few voters over and over again. Let's interview them. Let's have them on panels. Let's give them a dial and see what their feelings are today, right? But really, we've got so many people, millions, tens of millions of people that are sitting it out and not voting at all. And that is a huge problem for us. And that can make all of the difference in the world. And then going back to, CJ Murphy, forgive me, CJ, I don't know how you identify, if it's a she or a he. So CJ said, Democrats need new and targeted strategies. We have to overcome right-wing propaganda, not just right-wing propaganda, foreign propaganda, people that are just putting AI stuff out there that's not accurate at all just to get clicks and stir things up. Knowably false information. Right? We need reliable sources of news, and we need to support those news sites, especially local ones, right? Especially local journalism. And we need methods for sharing our own information. She, her. All right, CJ, I thought I remembered that, but then I got a little worried that I misremembered. Okay. Lots of conversation. Let's keep this conversation going. If you're just joining us, Political Fixer Live. If you have missed part of the show or if you want to catch it later, we're going to, assuming that all the tech works this time, we've got a lot of new stuff happening and TikTok's coming back on its sea legs again. Then you'll find us on YouTube at Political Fixer, and you can get all of our latest episodes there and continue to engage with us at any time at thepoliticalfixer.com. We're going to keep this conversation going. I don't think that we solved it tonight, but I did want to kind of be honest about my takeaways and how unsettling the whole thing was for me and really why. That was a little bit surprising, my takeaways on that. Let's pivot to the next topic of conversation. All right, so our political buzz story everyone was talking about, of course, top story was the inauguration, but something else happened that impacted many of us. I'm looking at you specifically, TikTok family, which is the TikTok ban. I feel like we should sell shirts that say I survived the January TikTok ban of 2025. All right, we're going to talk about this from a couple of different perspectives. Let's talk about what actually is happening with TikTok now, what we can expect moving forward, and I have some interesting updates for you. So if you are someone who is new to the Political Fixer family, we try to be very action oriented here. And I want to say so it was very frustrating for me. Let me take a step back. We know that TikTok might go dark at any moment, possibly forever. And I have literally millions of you that I have interacted with, my videos have reached, that you've reached out to me, that I've tried to support your work. I can't possibly reach you all in time. So I'm having to try to figure out what do I do here? Like, what is my best use of time as the clock starts to tick in case this is gone forever? So I want to talk about where we are, what we can do, because I'm going to tell you, I think, don't enjoy the reunion too much, folks. And I'll get back to that in just a second. And I'm going to surprise you, I hope, a pleasant surprise, with a project that we were working on here. And, I want to say that you guys have been so supportive of making all of this happen that we wanted to do something for you. So we're going to get to that fun surprise in just a bit. We are at over 38,000 likes. We have so many of you that are hearting this and giving us gifts and becoming subscribers. And we so appreciate all of you because that's what keeps this content going. We're going to be beefing up a lot of offerings, not just on TikTok, but on different platforms as well in the weeks and months ahead, realizing the uncertainty. We're going to find a way to connect with you in deeper ways. More about that in just a second. But let's give you a quick TikTok update. All right. 30-second version. President 45 says, I don't like TikTok, we should ban it. Republican Congress is like, yeah, sounds good to me. I think we should ban it. Democrats sign on for reasons I still don't understand that are couched under foreign possible interference. And then President Biden signs a law that is passed under him to implement this TikTok ban that originated with the idea under number 45 there. So then there's an outcry and people are like, wait, we didn't know you were serious. And let me be very specific about what the ban says. It says that TikTok has to sell off 50% or more of its ownership to American investors and owners, or it has to go dark. The idea is that this much information going back and forth on something that is owned by a Chinese government, a Chinese organization, not the government. Let me firmly correct that. With a Chinese organization, a business organization, and by nature in China, it would have naturally relationships with its government as big as it is, but it is not the government. Anyway, the concern is that they could use our information, that they could manipulate propaganda, etc. Quick aside here. Anytime, we mentioned this before, it bears repeating, anytime you have a law that targets one entity or person or crime response or disease or whatever, and you target that one instead of fixing the holistic problem, it's a bad law. 100% of the time, it's a bad law. So it didn't say, hey, all social media platforms should be prevented from manipulating the algorithms for propaganda or selling our data to the highest bidder or censoring our viewpoints based on political, speech at the time, right? It didn't say that all platforms, looking at you, Meta and Twitter, that all of them had to adhere to these rules, just TikTok. And it specifically said about ownership. Not what they do once they own it, by the way. All right, so TikTok goes dark. Then now 47 says, just kidding, I would like to keep TikTok. It's been good for me. We won. Let's keep TikTok. So does that mean it's over? No. In the executive order that was issued, it bought TikTok 90 days from the day of the executive order. So 90 days from January 20th. They still are told they are supposed to find American buyers. Now, what's going to happen? Is TikTok going to move in that direction? Some people say they already have. All right, there's a lot of coziness that suddenly seemed to creep up between Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, and TikTok. Maybe it's coincidental, maybe it's not. I read a Newsweek article just diving into this, and they were both reached out to for comment about, is Meta going to possibly, acquire some parts of TikTok or ownership? No one reached back out for comment. So possibly there's things already in the works. Possibly TikTok's like, listen, we got you to reverse before. We'll get you to reverse again. We're not selling. We don't know what's going to happen. But they don't have this indefinite lift of the ban. To do that, a new law would have to be passed. The Supreme Court's not going to save them. So, and the executive order can't just reverse the existing law. It would have to go back through Congress, right? Which is possible. But right now, they have 90 days under the existing law to sell off 50% or more of their ownership. Okay. Here's the takeaway that I think. Whether it's TikTok, whether it's Twitter under, when it had new ownership, whether it's Meta's new guidelines and removal of fact checking and saying that now women can be referred to as property and all the other fun stuff that Meta just unveiled, right? No matter what it is, I think the days of platform stability for us are over. So, my deepest condolences to you if you are a social media manager or someone who is in charge of the social media and platforming for a particular organization or group. I don't think this is going to get stabilized anytime soon. I think this is starting to feel like what happened with the streaming platforms, where for a while it was like Netflix and chill, and then, oh yeah, there's Amazon Prime, right? And now there's 55 streaming platforms, and none of us knows where to go for any particular program, right? I feel like there's an instability there. Why? Because you've got a very lucrative industry. You've got people trying to capitalize on an unhappy and unfulfilled audience that's looking for more. You've got all of these advertisers that are looking for somewhere new to spend their money that they think might go further. Same exact thing as the streaming platforms. So even if you take away the politics and the legislation piece, this instability is probably going to be the new normal for quite some time, right? So with that in mind, what do we do? So I want to mention that Texas Alex said congressional members started buying Meta stock after voting against TikTok. Yes, absolutely, Alex. Absolutely. Because there's billions, with a B, billions of dollars of advertising and revenue at stake for each one of these platforms, right? Everybody has their reason for hating or liking different platforms, right? And if you're a content creator like I am, then my reasons are different. I have my advocacy reasons. I don't like Twitter anymore because I can't get the information I used to. And, as a social justice advocate, I don't like what's happening on that space. I like certain other platforms over others because of how they treat their creator community and they compensate us for our content, right? So everybody has their reasons. Everybody has their vested interests in certain things moving forward or not moving forward. Some things feel more techy, so people don't like them. They're not warm enough. Some of them are too fluffy. There's a lot of photos of what people had to eat and what they watched on television, and that doesn't meet the personality of some people. There's a lot of reasons people are going to hop back and forth, and money at the highest level is one of those reasons for certain people to root for certain platforms to succeed and others to fail. So my team and I got together and said, how are we going to connect with all of you if this goes dark, right? If this goes dark for good after these next 90 days, and let's say it doesn't. Let's say it stays here, but it's just not the same for whatever reason. Tech changes, something new happens, whatever. Same thing. Twitter used to be my favorite place to go to get news, my absolute favorite to get news and to do other important things like rag on people that didn't root for the FSU Seminoles, right? Like whatever your things are that, you go to social media for, Twitter was my space. And then suddenly it wasn't. MySpace was the space for some people. And then it wasn't. So what can we do about it? I want to tell you, if you are a content creator in any way, and I don't mean for a living, I mean you have created videos and content and you've connected with people, the first thing I would ask you to do is start making time over the next several weeks to just sit there with your laptop or whatever, go get an external hard drive for like less than $100 at your local, big box store, or order it online. Start downloading all of your comments, all of your videos, all of your photos. Preserve as much of that stuff as possible. You don't know if you're going to want it later. It's yours. You created it. And I feel like having everything where you can reach it is important. If you don't yet have a website, consider getting one. Because if you've got an audience and they support you, try to start sending them there so that no matter what happens, to sign up to your email list or whatever the case may be. But there's something else. We're all hopping platforms right now. I'm trying out a bunch of different platforms. I'm trying to do better about content creation. A lot of news happening. So it becomes like one of those things. The more news that happens, the more I have time, stuff I want to talk to you about, but then the less time I actually have to create content to talk to you about it. So we're going to break that cycle. That's one of my goals in the new year, and get you guys more content. But we built something for you. I should say we're building something for you. Right now, it's just a landing page, but we, behind the scenes, So much nerdy, sweet goodness happening. Here's a fun story. Do you know how I got into politics? I was a tech nerd, and I got asked by Governor Jeb Bush of Florida's administration to come help him with a technology problem. And I got swept into politics as a tech nerd. And then I got asked, would I come help a young up and coming senator help set up some things with his campaign who was going to run for president of the name Barack Obama. So my venture into politics came through tech. I love myself some nerdy tech development. So we built for you a platform called My Social HQ, mysocialhq.com for My Social headquarters. I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know how platforms are going to change. But what we're building is a home base where we can connect to each other. It's 100% free right now. It's the free level is going to stay free until the end of time. What I'm asking is if you want to make sure you can let us know what is your primary platform right now. Give us your TikTok handle if you have one, and then tell us where else you are. Now, right now, it's just a form. And in the next few days, we've got our developers working hard. We're very close to having a beta version ready for you. mysocialhq.com. Beyond that, what are we building into this platform? Right now, it asks you for one new home base. We're going to have a number of places. You can share socials, share your website, share your Substack, share your blog, share your online shop, your Etsy shop. Like, share where you are. Information that you can share with us about how we can support you, and then tags about what you care about and who you're looking to connect with. Because one thing I love about the TikTok platform is that I meet all of you, and I've never met you in person before, many of you, by the time TikTok connects us. It knows, oh, this is a person that I'm going to get along with, right? We're going to like each other's content, and we're going to connect. And I've gotten a chance to talk to some of you on the phone and do Zoom meetings with some of you and even meet you at conferences and events and all these great things. And I got to tell you, the algorithm's been 100% correct. 100% of you that I have met in real life through TikTok, I will tell you I like. So there's a magic there that we don't want to lose, but we can't depend on the platform. So we're going to ask you to kind of self-identify. Are you looking to connect with other women? Are you looking to connect with artists? Are you an author and you want to support other authors? That kind of thing. Do I know how to build a fancy, billion-dollar algorithm? I'm nerdy. I'm not that nerdy. But we do know how to set up a platform where we can connect with each other in some way. So how it's going to work is this. You go to mysocialhq.com. And it's free to get on this directory. You tell us what information you want us to share and what we keep private. So if you just want your handle and not your name, respect, right? We are going to make sure we respect your privacy. Then we're going to have different features, and some of them are going to be free, and some of them, if you're a creator or you're trying to grow your business, you'll have a chance to pay for. Really inexpensive. This should be less than a Netflix membership, right? But we want to make sure that you can connect with each other. And so many of you are like, can we do a Google Doc? Can we start a Discord? All those things are great. But you know what, guys? On Political Fixer alone, there's 250,000 of you. So there is no spreadsheet in the world that is going to be big enough to handle that and us find each other, right? And I really didn't like the idea of all of your information being so exposed, where someone could just take your information and your email addresses, and now you're getting car insurance quotes until the end of time. So we wanted to protect your data. So this is very new. This is something that we are going to do alongside you. We want to hear it's mysocialhq.com for My Social headquarters, because the idea is we need to be able to organize. We need to be able to support each other's businesses. We need to be able to build communities no matter what happens with these platforms. So mysocialhq.com. Short for headquarters. And I want to give a special shout out to our chief of staff, Sarah, who's on almost all of these TikTok lives and YouTube lives and all of these with everyone, always working so hard. Sarah came up with the name, and I love it because it's ours. mysocialhq.com. If you want to connect with each other, that's what we have to offer right now. And again, 100% free. This is just our way of trying to give back to a community that has been so, so great to us. And we don't want to lose you guys. That's the thing. I will tell you, when it went dark on Saturday night, you can ask Sarah. I was like, I'm not okay. I'm very sad. I need a minute, right? Like, the idea of not getting to continue the conversation with some of you, I was upset. And so the idea is that right now, this is the contact form, and you're going to be alerted when this is live and your listing is live. It's going to be very basic at first, and you're going to be invited to come in and add more things. And if you don't want to, and you're like, hey, this is a great idea at the time, stop emailing me, cool. If you don't want to be on the platform anymore, cool. This is the start of a conversation, My Social HQ. And I really, really, really wanted to have a way to connect in the future. Now, whether or not you come to mysocialhq.com, whether you continue to reach out to us on politicalfixer.com or not, we just want to make sure that you are protecting yourselves and building your own community. So if this is not your vibe and you want to create other ways to connect with each other, please do that immediately. All right, if you want to start a Google Doc, or you want to start getting people on your TikTok and YouTube and Facebook communities to start reaching out to you in other ways, start doing it now, because we won't always get notice of a sale or a ban or someone going out of business or some big regulation or rule changing. So protect your data, strengthen your community, and do not count on any one of these platforms to be the it for you. And I'm going to give you a second bit of homework. In addition to protecting yourself, I want you to start making a list of what we can start doing to support you. Because on mysocialhq.com, that's going to be a big part of it, is we want to learn how we can support each other. Again, not looking for anybody to rescue us anytime soon. We are going to be the fixers. All right, we are at nearly 60,000 likes. And I want to answer the question from Dawn. We're taking a couple of user questions, and we will wrap up with our final story for this live. So why isn't anyone checking on the cheating with the election? Also seeing some people saying, like, My Social HQ is like getting jammed up, which is great. That's a great problem. Just stick with it. If you need to, though, go to politicalfixer.com and let us know right there. Okay. And we'll make sure you get added to the list there as well. Okay, so there's been some question about whether or not this election was fair. And I don't know if you saw the quote from the new incoming president alluding to Elon Musk being very tech savvy and taking care of things in Pennsylvania. I don't know who's looking into what. I don't have that type of security clearance. I don't know what's going on. Are we looking into stuff on our end? Yeah, I don't know if this is a false flag and he's just getting people riled up. I don't know if there's something to look at. But here's the thing. What realistically should I be spending my energy on? This is my very real answer for you. I don't think it's something that doesn't matter. That's not what I'm saying. I do think we should look into it. I think that we have to get to the bottom of it. Who the we is in that situation, I don't know. But the bottom line is that I can control very little. I don't have access to election data. I'm not in charge of election security. I don't know what we can do besides look and try to inform. And my concern is that I only have so many hours in a day, and I'm trying to spend it building community and responding to whatever happens. So my honest take is this. I'm not disregarding what may or may not have happened. The very least, we know voter suppression happened. We know that people called in threats at different polling locations. And we know that certain things happened that didn't feel fair, whether or not they technically were. I'm not an attorney, right? But if we aren't organized, what can we do that's going to have consequence when or if we discover something, whether it has to do with the election or some other future injustice, which is highly likely. A future injustice is highly likely. We need to be organized no matter what happens. So while I think that there's a lot to deal with right now, and I'm not being dismissive of that at all, what I'm trying to do is, like, I guess essentially, to use military terms, which I know is not the greatest, but not all of you are football fans, so I'm trying to use, fewer football analogies here. But essentially, how I look at it is this. I need to prepare our troops and get us healthy and trained and have the resources we need, even because I don't know where we're going to end up needing to battle, whether it's going to be locally or nationally, whether we're going to discover some big gotcha moment or it's going to be a consistent erosion of rights. I don't know. So I want to try to focus on the organizing. And then once I feel like we have a presence and we're together and we can communicate, then we say, all right, family, what do we want to do with this? And you might have something different that you want to focus on, than I want to focus on, than Dawn wants to focus on, than Frida wants to focus on, right? That's okay, because the idea is not only should we be training each other in skills, but we should be creating a community that can support each other across all of our causes, instead of this scarcity mindset that if you have rights, then I have fewer rights. If your issue matters, then my issue matters less. I don't buy into that. So that's why I don't talk about it a lot. I get that question a lot. A lot of you messaged me this week after that clip. I did see it. I'm on top of trying to become educated about it, on top of trying to do something about it, me getting us to the best of my ability, organized and supporting all of you and whatever you're doing is my way of doing something about it. And as I have something to report on it, of course, I will bring that to you. All right, let's go to some more comments and then we're going to talk about some final positive updates. Okay. I thank you. I want to read this comment from CJ. You and your team are doing great. Keep the faith, support each other, and let's work for change. CJ, that's very kind of you. I think all of you are doing great. Did you get up today? Did you tackle the world, even though for many of you it was cold outside? Did you manage to go through the entire day without punching someone in the face, even if you felt like it? Congratulations to each of you, because there's been a something in the air. And if you made it through today and you were like, you know what, after everything that's going on, I want to hang out with some friends online and have good conversations about civil discourse and politics and fixing the world, I think that says a lot. So yay to all of you. All right, on that, let's end on a positive note here. So you're joining us on Political Fixer Live. I see all those lovely gifts, DJC Wisdom. Thank you so, so much. So what I want to bring you is some news that we broke on Friday. You can go to YouTube at Political Fixer. You can also see my latest short video on, it's like a 5 or 7 minute video on TikTok at Political Fixer that summarizes what happened. On Friday morning, President Biden, in one of his last acts as a president before he left office, said that he believes that the Equal Rights Amendment for women, and some of you that are on these lives, you know, we've been talking about this a lot with Equal Rights Now. We're going to get to that in a second. That he believed that it met the standards to be certified as officially an amendment, specifically the 28th Amendment of our U.S. Constitution. So essentially, he believes that the criteria has been met. Done deal. 28th Amendment should be law of the land. Now, a lot of legalese has transpired between Friday and now. And the bottom line is we believe that this is going to head to the courts. But just because it's heading to the courts, a few things. First of all, I still think this is a step forward because I think President Biden did something that I have reason to believe, based on past experience with this current administration, that they would not have moved this forward. Now, will they sign off on it in the future? We can try to pressure them to do that. But what we believe is, I do think it's a step forward. We have work to do. And one of the things we need to do is we need to go back to the states, in my opinion, and have them restate their support for the Equal Rights Amendment. Let me give you a data point. 83% of the country believes, and this is new data. Last time I saw it was 78. New data. 83% of the country believes that the Equal Rights Amendment should be law of the land, that women should be added to the Constitution to not be discriminated against because of our gender. Okay, that's 82% of men and 83% of women, right? This is one of the most together issues we have in all of advocacy and politics. If I ask you all if the Beatles was a great group, we're not going to get 83% consensus on that, right? Especially with the age differentials and our backgrounds and, right, all of that, right? We don't agree on anything at 83%, and that's fine. That's healthy family conversation. But here's where I'm going with this. This is a way for us to have a win together and to go back to the states who originally ratified and say, express your support again. Because the biggest argument against the Equal Rights Amendment legally right now is it took too long for us to get to this point. So here's what we're working on now. We want to remove that argument by going back and saying, oh, you need us to say it again that we want equal rights. No problem. We got you. We are getting ahead of this, and we are going to go to these states and have them get on board with saying, yes, we want equal rights for women in the U.S. Constitution. So where do we organize for this? So we had talked about this a little bit and had planned on talking about it more after this week. We knew that this was going to be a busy news week, but we had pleasant news on Friday, so we ended up moving a little bit faster. So equalrightsnow.us, equalrightsnow.us. This is a federal organization that we launched just after the election for this purpose. And we talked about it a bit on these lives, but we really haven't rolled it all out. It's got like 4 pages. It's going to have a lot more, but one of those pages is super important, which is a petition. Now, this used to be a petition that said, hey, call on President Biden to say that this is certified before he goes out of the office. Congratulations to all of you who did that, because all of our voices collectively, I believe, made a difference. But the work isn't done. It asks you for your zip code. No other identifying information. It doesn't cost anything. You don't need to enter anything personal if you don't want to, but it asks for your zip code. And the reason for that is we can reach out to your state and congressional leaders in your area based on your zip code and let them know what the support is. Now, we started a map of support. Let me tell you, when we first started this, you guys were so supportive, and we had hundreds of people reach out, and we asked you, are we allowed to share your comment with everyone? And some of you wanted to keep it private, which we respect, but over 50 of you were like, yeah, share my information. So we started building this really cool map and working with the developers where you can see everybody's comments. Some of them are live right now on equalrightsnow.us. That's US as in United States, or us, equalrights.us. In between when we started the petition and started building that page and today, we started with about 50 of you that said we could share your comments. We're up to thousands. All right. We can't even keep up with it. It's so many. It's a great problem to have. We have a new developer that's going to help us with this. We're going to get so much information. Now imagine us taking that to your legislators and saying, look at how much support there is for this. Let's hold a vote and express your support again for the Equal Rights Amendment and be part of bringing this across the finish line. On YouTube at Political Fixer, we held a meeting last Wednesday. You can get the whole thing for free to talk about exactly what our plan is in more detail. We're going to need volunteers. We're going to need people on the ground telling us where to go. And we're kicking this off strong. In just a couple of weeks, I will be going back to my home state of Texas as the keynote speaker. I'm very honored about that at the gala. But more importantly, in my opinion, training on this initiative in Austin, Texas, February 7th through 9th for the Texas State Democratic Women's Convention. I'm going to say that again, February 7th through 9th in Austin, Texas. I will be there for the Texas Statewide Democratic Convention. Do you need to be a Texan to go? No. Do you need to be a woman to go? No. Do you need to be a registered Democrat to go? No. All you need to do is come in with a positive attitude, support this organization. You can get tickets online at tdw.org for Texas Democratic Women, tdw.org/convention. I'll be there. We can get a cocktail. We can hang out. We can plot world domination. It'll be great. But even more importantly, there's going to be hundreds of other people there, women and our allies, looking to do great work. We're kicking it off in Texas. We got word that a couple of other states are going to have us right on the back end of that. We want to come to where you are. Your legislature, your conventions, your hometown and help train, your community center, your senior center. So get plugged in to equalrightsnow.us. And this is a big project we're going to be working on together. But my goal is to take this energy that we have of wanting to do good for others and for ourselves, make a difference in this world. Let's work on this project together. And, we are getting through. You have overwhelmed us and humbled us with your messages and your outreach. We are going to get to all of you. and continue to bring you resources in the coming days and weeks ahead. This is a something. I'm an Aries. Shout out to Eddie, our producer, who's a fellow Aries. I will butt my head against that wall if I need to get things done. Don't get me wrong. This initiative has not been like this. You all have opened every door. You've connected us with so many amazing people. We have fantastic National Advisory Board members. We have a number of creators that have stepped up saying they're going to create content. You know, if you want to know the details of this, then you can watch our training video on political. It's at YouTube at Political Fixer, and then sign up for the updates, and we're going to keep you posted on equalrightsnow.us. This is a project I'm super excited about. And, you know, I just want to ask you, when you came on tonight and you were thinking, I'm going to spend some time on TikTok Live, now that it's back, you know, let's hang out a little bit. Or you're scrolling through YouTube, or you're on your Facebook, or your Twitter, or your LinkedIn. When you thought about how you started this day, do you feel more inspired at the end of this hour? Do you feel more supported at the end of this hour? Do you feel like we can do this one day at a time with each other as a community? Because that was my goal tonight, was to remind us we're still here, we still matter, we're still going to make a difference. You matter, right? I don't care what billionaire squabbles, what they turn dark, what they turn off, what they turn on. I don't care. We're still here, and we're going to find each other. We're going to connect with each other. We're going to support each other. So I hope that this was time well spent for you. I got over 70,000 likes right now telling us that, yes, you got some value tonight. Well, let me tell you something. All of you being so amazing in the work that we do, which is not always easy, I can assure you, you make my day better and brighter as well. So I really appreciate the precious time that you spend with us. On behalf of myself and my Political Fixer team, tonight we have Sarah, Mia, and Eddie on. You know, I want to thank you sincerely. I'm so happy that we're here together on TikTok. I'm so happy to be introducing Political Fixer Live to our other platforms. What a powerful group of people this is. I feel so much energy because of you all. So yeah, this is going to be great. I'm going to say goodnight for now so you all can go out there and make some mental notes and get your idea notebooks out, and let's go change the world together, right? I gave you 3 websites, so I'm going to give them to you again. If you ever need to reach us, politicalfixer.com. Super easy, come right to the source. If you're trying to connect with each other, mysocialhq.com. We're working on getting a way for you all to connect with each other no matter what happens. And then equalrightsnow.us. That's US as in United States. Equalrightsnow.us. That's how you can get involved in our national initiative to make generational change happen, built on the backs and the shoulders of so many before us. Thank you to everyone who's out there just one foot in front of the other. Practice self-care. Be kind to yourselves as well as others. And I will see you all soon. Have a good night, everyone.